You're watching Amador County's local television network, TSPN. And now, TSPN News with Tom Slavik. Comprehensive news because in today's world, you need more than just sound bites. TSPN, streaming on the World Wide Web, and now on demand at TSPNTV.com. Hello, Amador County. I'm Tom Slavik. Welcome to today's news. Let's take a look at our headlines on TSPN. A San Francisco man went missing after he was last seen swimming at North Shore Lake Camanche Sunday. The AWA Water Board will be asked to approve RFPs for independent financial review of the agency. And the Amador County Assessor's Office started its annual assessment reviews for the coming tax year. Plymouth City Council on Wednesday will consider whether it wants to place a statement on the ballot with its November TOT tax measure. And BLM-managed lands now under burning restrictions due to high fire risk. In the second half of the news, I'll be speaking with Bitch Wagner. He's the new principal of the county's collective alternative high school, so stay with us. We'll have these stories when I return from the other side of the break. You're watching Amador County's #1 news and sports leader, TSPN. Welcome back. Amador County and regional authorities on Monday began a second day for searching for a San Francisco man who went missing after he was last seen swimming Sunday afternoon in North Shore Lake Camanche. Amador County Undersheriff Jim Wagner released details of the missing person investigation, saying that at about 12:43 p.m. on Sunday, June 10th, the Amador County Sheriff's Department was notified of a possible missing person at North Shore Lake Camanche. It was reported that at about 11:30 a.m., Romero Munoz, Jr., 31 of San Francisco, was swimming in the area of Deus Point. He was last seen swimming past the point and out of view of his friends and family. Upon realizing that Munoz had not returned, his friends and family checked the area but did not see Munoz in the water. At that time, they reported Munoz as missing. Amador County Sheriff's deputies, East Bay Municipal Utilities District Rangers, and a California Department of Fish and Game Warden conducted an extensive search of the grounds for Munoz, whose personal property, including his cellular telephone, keys, and wallet, were still at his campsite. Wagner said an Amador County Sheriff's Marine Unit, a Calaveras County Sheriff's Marine Unit, and a Sacramento Police Department helicopter conducted a search of the waterway around Deus Point, and the Amador County Sheriff's dive team responded to the scene and conducted an underwater search. The search for Munoz resumed Monday morning, with the Amador County Sheriff's dive team targeting previously unsearched areas. And the Amador Water Agency Board of Directors on Thursday will consider a staff request to issue a request for proposals for an independent financial review of the agency's financial system structure, policies, procedures, and reporting. The AWA Finance Committee, made up of Director Robert Manacero and Director Art Troy, recommended the RFPs as well, said General Manager Gene Mancebo, who requested authorization in a staff report to the board for its Thursday regular meeting. Mancebo requested that the board discusses and authorizes him to issue a request for proposals to conduct an assessment of the AWA's financial system structure, policies, procedures, and reporting, and then return to the board with a recommended consultant to perform the review at the May 24th board meeting. The board gave direction to the Budget and Finance Committee to review an expanded scope of work regarding services for independent financial review. Mancebo said the committee met June 6 and recommended a draft RFP and scope of work. Mancebo said, as discussed during the previous board meetings, the agency would benefit from a review of its finance systems, and a review should be performed by an accounting firm which has relevant experience with water districts. The RFP requires 15 years experience in California, and Mancebo said AWA is independently audited each year by a firm which consistently has provided opinions that clearly show the water agency meets all financial requirements set forth by the Comptroller General of the United States and the State Comptroller's minimum audit requirements for California special districts as a whole. And Mancebo said the scope recommended would not include any financial planning or rate analysis. He said the request would be for the outside firm to assess AWA's financial systems on a more detailed functional level and make recommendations that can improve efficiencies, effectiveness, and ease of meeting reporting requirements and information requests and enhance the financial transparency of the water agency. Mancebo said alternatives would be to continue with the current system and procedures with no external review. They could also conduct an internal assessment and provide recommendations or consider revisions to the RFP. The proposed scope would examine the overall structure of the AWA's accounting system and examine various fund relationships and associated account hierarchy for transfers. It would also examine AWA procedures and practices for ensuring proper, consistent entries and would look at the potential for automating payroll activities and potential fund and/or account consolidation. Amador County Assessor Jim Rooney recently announced that his office is just starting to review the coming tax year's property assessments that may be too high. Rooney said one of the most important duties of his office is to make sure that assessments are not higher than their fair market. With the declining real estate market, the fair market values of many properties have declined to lower levels than their established assessments, and adjustments have been made. He said because of the rural and unique nature of the county, it's a large and complicated task. Rooney said a goal of his office is to have no property in the county assessed higher than its fair market value. He has been proactive in reduction of assessments. However, because of reduced revenues to the county, our resources to find and reduce high assessments are less than what they have been. This has made finding and lowering high assessments a more difficult task, Rooney said. While it's our job to make sure that assessments are correct, there is also some responsibility on each property owner. So, we're asking the property owner to look at their assessments to help make sure they are accurate. The easiest way is to look at the assessment, and if owners think the property value is less than the assessment, they may be eligible for a reduction and should request a review. Property owners may provide comparable sales data or specific data for the assessor's office to consider. Most reduced assessments are for properties purchased in the last 10 years, so homes purchased after 2002 likely are in line for a reduction, he said. If the review indicates assessed value higher than the fair market, it will be reduced. If review indicates fair market value is higher than assessed value, no action is taken, so there's no risk of an increased assessment when requesting a review. Rooney said every year the assessor is mandated to put values on all properties in the county. Property owners will be paying property taxes based on values. He said in the past this job was much easier because the property values were going up faster than assessments. This hasn't been true in the past few years. He estimated more than 4,500 assessments were reduced last year, a substantial portion of residential properties in Amador County. If an assessment has been reduced in the past few years, there's no need to request another review, as it will likely be reviewed automatically. Rooney said reviews should be completed by mid-July to late July. If a property owner has not received a notice from the assessor by August 15th or they disagree with the assessment, a request for review should be made. And Plymouth City Council will hold a special meeting Wednesday to consider whether it wants to place a statement on the November ballot with its transient occupancy tax measure. The regular meeting was moved to Wednesday to accommodate a scheduled conflict. The council typically meets the second and fourth Thursday of the month. The agenda also includes discussion and possible action on whether the council or some portion of the council would like to submit arguments for the transient occupancy tax measure and the accompanying advisory measure. The measure, if passed, would change the transient occupancy tax from 6% to 10%. The tax is charged on motel and motel rentals for transient visitors, which the state law defines as those staying less than 30 days. The extra 4% would be used for streets and advertising to promote tourism. The advisory measure would determine how the tax funding was spent. The previous TOT measure tried by Plymouth failed to get a two-thirds majority of votes, while its accompanying advisory measure did achieve the two-thirds majority. The agenda includes a presentation by ACES Waste Services on fiscal impacts of the costs to provide service in Plymouth and a request to support an increase in solid waste rates for city customers. ACES seeks an increase due to a dumping fee increase of 25% at Sacramento's Kiefer landfill. ACES has also sought a rate change in Jackson, which was approved by the Jackson City Council, and the Plymouth City Council will also consider approving a contract with Weber, Gaio and Associates Engineering for the 2012 through the 2017 years, and will also consider approving a list of qualified engineering firms to work for the city. The Council will also consider a proclamation for Marla Moreno, and also meet a closed session to start a meeting with a conference with legal counsel. The closed session will include discussion of anticipated litigation and significant exposure to litigation, including 3 potential cases. The U.S. Department of the Interior, Bureau of Land Management, and Mother Lode Office announces fire restrictions effective Monday, June 11th. Spokesman Jeff Fontana said BLM is implementing fire restrictions on all BLM-managed public lands within the Mother Lode field office boundary. This includes a total of about 230,000 acres of BLM-managed public lands in Amador, Nevada, Yuba, Placer, El Dorado, Sacramento, Calaveras, Tuolumne, Stanislaus, Sutter, and Mariposa counties. Fontana said the fire restrictions will remain in effect until further notice. Fire Management Officer Gerald Martinez said the restrictions prohibit all open fires in public lands because of extremely dry conditions. He said with the recent high temperatures, fuels are extremely dry. Campers are urged to be familiar with special limitations prior to visiting any public lands in the Mother Lode field office counties. And a valid California campfire permit is required for all fires. Campfire permits are available free of charge in any BLM Forest Service or California Department of Forestry office, but campers need to be aware of restrictions in the area they're visiting. Restrictions that apply include no open fires except in designated campgrounds, open fires, lanterns, and portable stoves using gas, jellied petroleum, or pressurized liquid fuel. Welding or use of any torch with an open flame is also prohibited except by special permit. No use of explosives is allowed except by special permit. Operating internal combustion engines also restricted except on maintained roads. Firing tracers or incendiary devices capable of starting a fire are also restricted, as are fireworks, and violations are punishable by fines up to $1,000 and or imprisonment up to 1 year. Quick look at our weather. It's hot out there today. Maybe a little hotter than yesterday. A high of 92, a low of 59, winds west-northwest, 7 to 10 miles an hour. And on Wednesday, sunny high of 87, low of 59, winds west-northwest, 7 to 10 miles an hour. And on Thursday, sunny high of 88 with a low of 59. Air quality index report, unhealthy today and unhealthy tomorrow. And when I come back, we'll be talking to Butch Wagner. He's the new principal of the county's collective alternative high schools. So stay with us. We'll have that interview when I return from the other side of the break. You're watching Amador County's #1 news and sports leader, TSPN.